I fell in love with you today. Didn't know what to say. Was it the sparkle in your eye? Your eye. Oh, look, I couldn't hide.
Hello everyone, I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. I'm here at Buffalo Lake, which is just east of Red Deer, Alberta, and today I would like to talk to you about ICOs and Ethereum. Now I'd like to start by saying I'm going to try not to inject too much opinion into this video. I just want to provide a resource so people can think objectively about where they're putting their money and whether or not they want to invest in something. So I'm coming at it from that standpoint. So before we get into ICOs, there are a couple other things that you should understand. If you are unfamiliar with Ethereum already, then this may be a little bit over your head. You may want to look into Ethereum further, but essentially Ethereum is currently the #2 cryptocurrency out there. It is sitting 70 to 80% of Bitcoin's market cap. It's had a huge surge in price lately, and yeah, there's kind of a lot of buzz around it, and there's reasons for that, which I will get into later. Ethereum just allows for something called smart contracts, being able to program your money to do different things based on different inputs from various sources. So if X happens, then money goes here. If Y happens, money goes here. If Z happens, money goes here for 30 days, and then if something else doesn't happen, it reverts back. So you can program in things to be influenced by outside sources. You can also build programs on top of Ethereum that are supposed to be censorship resistant. So if you were to make a website regularly and you resided in a country where the government did not make that website, then perhaps they could shut it down. Whereas if you made a program or a website or something along those lines that would reside on the Ethereum network, then in theory, much like torrents, like downloading torrents, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to shut your website and or program down. So essentially a decentralized worldwide computer is the concept behind Ethereum. So what about the word ICO? Well, it's kind of a play on the term IPO. What is an IPO? An IPO is an initial public offering. So when a company is looking at being listed on the stock market, people can invest in the IPO, the initial public offering, basically getting a first crack at having ownership of part of that company. So like a Facebook IPO, you would be buying shares in Facebook. An ICO is an initial coin offering. It sounds like if there's a company putting out an ICO that you would be buying part of that company. But that is not what this is. So there is some misunderstanding around that. What's actually happening is you have companies that are putting out concepts for what they would like to do. They're putting out white papers. Some of them have working code, some of them do not. Some of them are just straight talking points and just concepts and ideas. Others are currently working companies with a product, but those are fewer and further between. And what they're saying is we are going to be using a token or a cryptocurrency in conjunction with our product. Or we are maybe going to be using a cryptocurrency or token with our product. So what you're buying is this token. So when you're looking at a project, you need to be looking at it and saying, what is the use case for the token? Because if the company becomes valuable and successful, that doesn't necessarily mean that the token that you've bought becomes successful. So let's look at two instances where maybe having a token associated with it makes sense versus where it might not make sense. So two that come to mind for me, one is called game credits and the other one is to do with Kick Messenger. So what is game credits? Game credits, the idea is being able to monetize in-game assets. So let's say you play World of Warcraft and you've been obtaining different assets and you've got some sweet sword that it took you, I don't know, 50 hours worth of gameplay to obtain.
Behold, the sword of 1,000 truths.
And somebody else would love to have that sword but does not want to put in the 200 hours to obtain it. Well, currently there's no way to trade these kind of in-game assets. But if you were to, say, take a blockchain and assign that sword to a token, then you could freely trade without a middleman and essentially sell your in-game sword to somebody else. So essentially it's monetizing something that was not able to be monetized before. And there is a huge market for stuff like that. So for something like game credits, then yes, perhaps having a token associated with your project makes sense. Now, Kick Messenger, if you're unfamiliar, it's just a person-to-person direct messenger that some people use. You can get it for your iPhone or your Android phone. They are also launching an ICO.
But why?
And so when I look at that, I think, okay, well, it's a free messenger and people use it and it's popular, and now you're injecting a token into it for what reason? Like, what does it accomplish? What were you trying to accomplish that wasn't already being accomplished by the product itself? Was there demand for there to be some sort of a token associated with Kick Messenger? Not that I know of. So essentially, Kick Messenger, when they launch this ICO, I'm sure tons of people are going to buy into it. But is that token going to be ever used for anything? Maybe not. And if it's not, it doesn't matter what the company behind Kick Messenger is worth. They could be worth hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. If nobody uses the token for anything on the platform, then there's no demand for the token and it would essentially be worthless. So these are the things you need to think of when you're looking at ICOs and if there's any value behind them. And there's another angle that we need to look at here, and that is that with ICOs, pretty much across the board currently, in order to buy into an ICO, you need to have Ether or Ethereum. So because of this massive boom in these ICO projects, some of which may be legitimate, some of which may be not so much, there's been this huge spike in demand for Ethereum. Not necessarily to use the Ether specifically for having Ethereum's sake, but rather to buy into these projects that are being built on top of Ethereum. So right now the price of Ethereum is definitely highly correlated with how many ICOs are launching. So there's two possible worries here that I see. One, it remains to be seen if the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States, comes down on these ICOs as illegal securities, or basically companies issuing stock illegally. If that's the case, then that could put a huge damper on the rally in Ethereum, because if it's illegal, then other countries around the world may then do the same thing. And if it's illegal to launch an ICO in a lot of countries, then that's going to take a lot of air out of this market. The other thing that could happen is there could be a bunch of huge failures when it comes to these ICOs, right? If these companies don't come through on what they're trying to do, or they just end up with worthless tokens, and there's a lot of those hitting the news, that could take a lot of the wind out of the sails too. So right now, from what I'm looking at, Ethereum's price is largely impacted by these ICOs, and these ICOs are currently a big question mark. This is getting into a little bit of my own opinion here. I look at this and I see a lot of irrational exuberance. Let me explain why. So there are companies currently listed on the stock market that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars or less that have a solid revenue stream, that are currently actually creating and selling a product and or a service that are valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. These ICOs that are being launched are just ideas in large part. So what you're getting when you're buying an ICO is a company that doesn't really have a product or even a market yet. You don't know if there is ever going to be a market. You don't know if there's ever going to be a product. A lot of the time it's just vaporware, like there's nothing that's been coded yet. There's nothing there in the project. I'm not saying this is for every project, but some of these white papers, you look at what their proposals are, and there's no real detail. It's just talking points about what they could do, but nobody's actually put it into practice yet. So my hope is that, and I don't think this is necessarily going to happen, but my hope is that people will start to consider if there's actual value proposition in this, and if there's anything tangible worth putting their money into. There's a lot of information that needs to be taken in and considered when looking at any project that you're putting your money into, and I'm talking even if you're investing in stocks. You should understand the company that you're putting your money into. It shouldn't just be, oh, I heard a few buzzwords about this and so I'm gonna dump thousands of dollars into it. If I really look at it, and from my personal view, I think it's only a matter of time before the ICO bubble pops. That being said, things can be irrational a lot longer than people think. So, I mean, cryptocurrency market cap right now is over $100 billion. Ethereum is in the 30s, I think, 30-something billion dollars. And realistically, it could go up 10x, 20x, who knows, right? Anything could happen. And it could go a long way before something happens, before there's some high-profile ICOs that just run off with people's money that make enough headlines to scare people away, or before the SEC actually comes down on some of these and stamps them out before they get off the ground. Please be careful out there. If you do decide that you're willing to take that kind of risk, please only do risk money that you can afford to lose, and don't be surprised if in the long run you do end up losing that money. You know, there's when you look at regular businesses, just regular businesses that are out there, 90-something% of them fail, and that's just the way it is. So when you look at these ICOs that are just ideas for businesses that aren't even being put into action yet, what percentage do you think are going to be successful? I know this is kind of a sit and ramble video, but it's something that has been making headlines, and there's a lot of attention around it, and people have been asking me about my thoughts. I've covered some of this in some of my live Q&As, but I figured it was worth actually making a video on it. So thank you for indulging me, and yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Drop a tip in the currency of your choice if you're able to, and please share this video. I will see you guys next time on the BTC Sessions.